Hi everyone, it's Karen. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be showing how I plan on working through the April Word of the Week kit from Prepared From Above. Becca over there at Prepared From Above has released Faithdex cards, or some people call them Faithdex cards. They originated from what people were using as memory dex cards, and they're meant to be like in the beginning they were meant to be like little cards that people were using for like memory keeping with like photos and things like that. And then the Bible journaling community kind of took it over, and they were doing what people were calling Faithdex cards or Bible Dex cards, and they were doing, you know, decorating the cards and writing scriptures and things like that. So if you're familiar, if you're older like me, then you remember the old Rolodexes that they used in businesses and things like that for keeping contact information for business affiliates and things like that. I will link a video down below if I can figure out how. Lindsay over at Lindsay Decor did a really good Tip Tuesday about Faithdex cards. So I will link her video down below. You should check it out. It's really good. It's really informative. But anyways, Becca released Faithdex cards with this month's kit, or not with the kit, but in addition to the kit. You can purchase this page of Faithdex cards, and it comes with 4 and then some additional little color swatches and things like that. So I'm going to be doing Faithdex cards this month. Hopefully I'll be able to keep up. So I was just wanting to show you how I'm going to be working through that. Now there are businesses on Etsy that sell boxes specifically for Faithdex cards. You'll notice that there's little notches right here because they're meant to be stuck down onto some sort of rail system, so that they can be housed in a box or something like that. You can just flip through them. And there are people on Etsy who sell these boxes specifically for these cards, and I'll go ahead and link a shop in the description box below this video. One of the ladies on Etsy who sells these boxes actually used to be part of the creative team for Prepared From Above. So, but anyways, I didn't get one. I am going to show you what I did. I hemmed and hawed about whether I wanted to show you or if I wanted to just do a bunch of cards and not show you where I was keeping them, but I'm just going to show you because I think everybody could maybe find this a little bit helpful. So this is my my Faithdex box, and I just cut out these I printed on just regular paper because I wanted to just practice. And what I did was I got this tray, just the tray. It didn't have these little sticks right here, but I got this tray from my Dollar Tree when it was a Dollar Tree. Now it's a $1.25 tree. I think my husband was there and he said most things now are $1.25. But anyways, I bought this tray. It's wood, so you can paint it or stain it or whatever you want to do, which I may or may not go back and do. But I got this box, and then I got these rails to hold the index cards, are actually chopsticks that I had from Chinese food takeout. And I just had my husband cut them down to size, or I eyeballed it rather. And then I hot glued them. I don't know if you can see, but I hot glued the ends right here. This is going to be like the front of my box. And then in the back, because my sticks were a little short, I just put a bunch of hot glue. So it's all a big blobby mess back there. But you're not going to be able to see it because the cards are going to be leaning back against that area. So the cards just fit in like this, and they're just going to kind of lean back against that area, so you won't even be able to see the blobby hot glue mess. So anyways, this is what I'm going to be doing for this month's kit. And I went ahead and I set that aside. I went ahead and I printed this out because once you purchase the printables, They're yours to keep. You can print them as many times as you want for personal use only. And so since there's 20 words, right? 5 for 4 weeks. Yes, there's 20 words. So I went and I printed this 5 times so that I can get 20 separate cards for each of the verses that we're going to be going through. So I'm going to go ahead. Oh, another thing, I printed these out on cardstock. It's 65-pound cardstock paper, so it's more sturdy than just regular copy paper. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut all of these out, and then we'll see if I have some time to decorate them. Decorate a couple of them right now, or maybe I'll come back on another day and show you that part. Okay, I'll be right back. Okay, so actually before I go ahead and cut everything out, I wanted to show you how I cut things out. Not that it's rocket science, but basically I'm just going to cut along the outer part of the black line of the card. And it doesn't have to be perfect because you're going to decorate it, and then the uneven edges won't even matter if they are uneven, because everybody, or you yourself, will be focused on the scripture verse that's on the card or the decoration that you decide to put on the card. But I wanted to show you this because in addition to the Faithdex system, there is a hole punch. It's like a handheld hole punch that you can just put the card in and punch it, and it'll cut these 2 holes out. So I don't have a Faithdex box, and I don't have one of those hole punchers. So I get a regular hole punch like this one. This one's really old. You can tell it's kind of rusty and everything, but this is really old. But you can get these hole punches probably at the Dollar Tree or the $1.25 Tree, or you can get them for fairly cheap. And so what I do is I just take my hole punch and I punch out a hole right there. And I'll do it on both sides. So now I have holes on both sides. And you're probably thinking, well, how is that going to fit onto your little chopstick rails? And here's how. Because I'm going to get my scissors and I'm going to cut right here along this little opening. And then again on this side. And so now there's little notches. And so now if I get my box, they'll fit. They'll just snap right onto my little chopstick rails, just like that. Okay. Super easy. So I'm going to go ahead and do that for my cardstock cards, and then I will be right back. Okay, I'm back. So what I think I'm going to do is prep my cards for this coming week for Amazing Grace. So I have 5 cards out here. So I'm just going to go ahead and put them together, maybe a couple of them today, maybe a couple of them over the course of the weekend, but I will come back and put them, all 5 cards, into one video so that you guys can see how all 5 of them come together, but it's probably going to be pieced out over the next couple days. So I'm going to go ahead and put you on fast forward and we'll get started. Okay, so I've gone ahead and I've cut apart all of the elements for Amazing Grace, including this little bird and this little tab, and then also this little Amazing Grace. And then I pulled out some pattern paper from my stash that I thought matched well with the little bird, and then also some of these Tim Holtz die cut letters, and I'm just going to use my Spellbinder's manual die cutting machine to cut out some of those letters on that pattern paper that I pulled out. So here I'm just putting it on the platform on top of the cutting plate, and then I'm going to use some washi to hold all of the dies in place as I run it through the machine. There on the bottom, towards the bottom, that got cut off. I apologize for that. There's a little crank that you just turn, and it moves the whole platform through the machine and cuts out the letters on the paper. So once that's done, I'm going to remove the washi tape, and some of the letters stay on the cutting plate and some get stuck behind the dies you can see there in the back. So I'm I'm just going to get the ones off of the cutting plate and put them up top, and then I'm going to get the ones off of the dies itself that got stuck to the back there. I'm showing you the letter C, and I have this little piercing tool from Cricut, and I'm just going to push it through the hole, and it just punches the paper out of the back. Okay, so now that I have all of my letters separated from the dies, my title was going to say Grace Upon Grace, but then I realized that the word upon was not going to fit. So here I'm just taking my Zig two-way glue pen, and I'm just going to stick down the letters for Grace and Grace. And then I'm going to take my this is a micron pen, a Pigma micron pen. I think it's a 0.1, so it's a very fine tipped pen. And I'm just going to outline each of the letters around my die cuts there. It just helps to give them a little bit more definition from the patterned background that it's on. It just helps the letters to stand out a little bit more. And I think it just helps it. I mean, you can see the difference there between the first Grace and the second Grace. It just helps it stand out a little bit better. So I'm going to do that for all of the letters. And then I'm going to come in with these wooden alphabet stamps from, I just picked these up from Hobby Lobby, I think. And I'm just going to stamp out the word upon on the side there so that my title, once it's finished, will read Grace Upon Grace. And then just as a side note, down to the lower left corner of your screen, I have just a yellow chamois cloth that I picked up from the Dollar Tree. And I keep that in a plastic case just so that it's a little bit wet. And then I wipe my stamps off onto that to clean them. I was using a baby wipe, but the baby wipes left like little fuzzy things all over my stamps. So I found it a little bit cleaner for them to, if I just used a chamois cloth instead of the baby wipe. And then here I just used some adhesive, foam adhesive for the back of the bird. I'm just going to stick him down on the side there, and I wanted him raised up a little bit so it wouldn't be so flat against um, the card. And then I'm just going to chop off the extra. I know, I chopped off his little booty, but he's okay. And then I'm going to get this tab that came as part of the printable. Everything I'm using came as either part of the kit or part of the Faithdex printable that you could purchase in addition to the kit. So I'm going to also get this little word that says Amazing Grace and use my glue pen and stick it onto the tab. And then I'm going to run my glue pen along the back of the card so that I can stick my tab onto the back of the card. And this will be my first card for this week. So that's why I wanted to put the title tab at the top. Okay, so I'm going to put you guys back to normal speed for a second. I forgot to mention when I did my previous card that I have already gone through and written out all of the verses for this week in my traveler's notebook, and I just went and pulled out like the main part of each verse so that I could put a title on each of these cards. And I was going to write the verses on the back of each of these cards, but since I've already written them in my traveler's notebook, I'm probably just going to go ahead and just write a short prayer on the back of each one of these little index cards or Faithdex cards. But I just wanted to let you know that I did already go through and read the scriptures, and that's where I pulled out each of the titles that I'm going to be putting down on each of the cards. Okay, so back to fast forward here. I'm just putting some ribbon down at the bottom of the card there. I used my tape runner just so that I could run the ribbon along the stickiness of the tape runner to help it stay down. And I'm just kind of folding it backwards onto itself to make little loopy things. And then I'm going to cut off the extra and then use my tiny attacher just to staple it down, and for two reasons: to help hold the little loopy things down and to also make sure that the ribbon stays stuck to the Faithdex card. And then I'm going to get another piece of ribbon and use it as a little topper for my tag there. And I just fuss with it a little bit to make the polka dots show up on the same side. And then I'm going to get my tiny attacher and just staple it in place so that it stays how I want it to show both the front side of the ribbon on the tag. So then I'm going to get this alpha stamp. This is the Big Story Alpha from Illustrated Faith. And I'm going to use my VersaFine ink. And there I'm just showing you the stamp backer. Again, I put washi tape at the top because it's clear and it just helps it to stand out among the mess when I'm ready to put my stamps away. So I'm going to start on my title for this one, and I'm going to start at the bottom to make sure that I have enough room working up. And then I'm also going to start at the right, working towards the left, so I have enough room. So I make sure that I have enough room and that it doesn't run off the edge of the card. And then I'm going to use these foam adhesive squares. I use these on pretty much all of the cards just to give it a little bit more dimension. And the nice thing about working on Faithdex cards instead of in the Bible is you don't have to worry about all the chunkiness of dimensions like the foam adhesive and things like that. Sometimes it can add a lot of chunk to the Bible, but on a Faithdex card it doesn't really make a difference. So there I'm just going to stick down the little tab or the little tag on top of the card and add that one there, and we'll go on to the next one. So this one is day 3, and this one I'm going to use that little blue bird there, and I'm using this small stamp set. It's from Creative Retreat Kits, and I'm going to get out this little leafy thing and just stamp leaves on the sides of the card using the Distressed Oxide. In that color is Bundled Sage. So I'm just going to do the left and the right. And then I got this washi tape that I thought the colors matched well with the little bird, except it did have a little bit of purple on it. So I went ahead and I'm going to tear it lengthwise just to tear off the purple part, but I would have done that anyways because I like the rough edges of the washi, which is why I tend to tear it in lengthwise most of the time when I use it because I like the little rough edge. But in this case, I was just trying to also get rid of the purple. And then I'm just going to put it down there at the bottom of the card and then trim off the little the excess that's hanging over, and then I'll go and repunch the holes later. And then I'm going to get the Distress Oxide ink again. This one is Blueprint Sketch, I believe. And then this is the Mary Alpha from Illustrated Faith, and I'm going to use that to stamp out my title, again working from the outer right edge towards the left just to make sure that I have room for the entire word on the card. And I didn't start at the bottom this time because I knew I would have enough room. So then I'm also going to get my little foam adhesive squares and pop that bird up so it got a little bit of dimension. And those foam adhesives, you can find them in squares or circles, and you can get them at the Dollar Tree. I believe that's where I got this one. And then after looking at the card, I figured that it would probably look better if the leaves went all the way up around. So again, I got out the little stamp set, and I'm just putting the leaves going up across the top just so that it's not so plain up there. And so there's a look at that one. And then I'll move on to the next one. The next one I'm using these elements, the little painterly things, the little swatch painterly things were from the same printable as the Faithdex card. So this one is going to be the Gift of Grace. And so I'm going to be putting a bow up at the top. So I just punched a couple of holes opposite the bottom holes on the Faithdex card. And then I'm going to string that ribbon through from the front to the back in both of the holes. And then I'm going to take the string that's on the right and go from back to front into the left hole. You'll see right there. And then I'm also going to take the string on the left and go from front or back to front into the right hole. That way it makes like a little tiny little bow there up at the top. And then snip off the extra edges. And then I'm going to grab the little paint swatches and then use my tape runner to stick them down to the bottom of the card, kind of staggered from each other. And then I use my tweezers just to help me position it just so. And then I'm going to do the same with the yellow little strip, and I'm going to move that one just offset from the green one just a little bit. And then I'm going to get my little circle cluster there and just kind of position it, and then use these stamps. These are the alpha stamps from By the Well for God. Those are the Miriam Meek alpha stamps, and I'm going to use that one to type out or stamp out my title, The Gift of Grace. And then I'm starting Grace with the A because that's the middle letter of the word, and I'm just going to center it under the top line just to make sure that it's kind of centered underneath. And then stamp out the word grace so that it's centered under gift of. And then I'm going to get my foam adhesive and I'm going to put it on the back of my little circle pieces. And I want to make sure that the green circle is not on the green painterly swatch. I want to make it opposite, if that makes sense. You'll see here in a minute, I wanted the green circle to be over the yellow swatch and the yellow circle to be over the green part of the swatch. That way it's kind of alternating in color. And then I'm going to snip off the side of this tan bubble and then get a little piece of foam adhesive for that one, and I'm just going to prop it up at the bottom left hand side of the card. Just like that. And then there's also a really quick look at the finished card. I do go back and tape down the ends of the ribbon, which you'll see at the end of the video. And then for the last card, for the last day, I'm going to use that little house, and I want to bring in some blue from the house onto the card. So again, I'm taking some washi and just tearing it down the middle lengthwise, and I'm going to save that little bit on my washi spool for another project if I need it for something else. And then I'm going to just lay down that at the bottom of the card and snip off the extra overhang, and then I'll go ahead and punch the holes in that one later. And then I'm going to use this alpha set. This is the Christina Swirly Alpha from By the Well for God, and I'm going to stamp out my title here. This one's going to say Grace Multiplied, again starting from the right edge working inward. And then I'm going to get the little wooden stamps again and stamp out the word multiplied in this little painterly swatch that was also from the printable from the Faithdex cards. So I'm just, like I said, I'm going to stamp out the word multiplied, and I'm hoping that it all fits. It didn't really matter whether I started from left to right since, since it was such a small piece. So in the end, it does all fit and it works out well, which made me happy. And then I'm just going to put it there under Grace, and I'm just going to stage where I want the house just to make sure that that it doesn't cover up this little strip here that says multiplied. And I'm going to put that down under Grace. And then I'm going to get my foam adhesive for my house. I'm not going to make you watch me go through that process because you've seen it already. And then I'm just going to stick it down on the card just like that. So I have some close-ups of the finished cards coming up, and I just wanted to remind you to check out the description box below the video, where I'll have links to all of the supplies that I used for all of the cards, including the link for the Prepared From Above website, where if you use coupon code Karen20, you'll get 20% off of everything that's listed in the shop, and that coupon code is also in the description box below. And I hope you found this video helpful or inspiring in some way. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And as always, I thank you guys so much for watching, and especially if you watched until until the end of this one. It was pretty long, but I do appreciate you watching my videos and subscribing to the channel if you haven't already. And again, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys all next time. Bye-bye!